Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live right here on Giants.com and the Giants mobile app. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. John Schmeelk and Jonathan Casillas with you. Giants getting ready to take on the Las Vegas Raiders in what has been quite the eventful week, Mr. Casillas. Let's start with the Giants first. Your thoughts on the Leonard Williams trade. Let's break that down a little bit.
Well, we said this after the game. This is a kind of the situation after that, rough Jets lost last week. It's kind of like, all right, this is not looking too good. There was
2-6. It's tough sledding.
There was 3-5 was promising, especially going into this week.
Mm-hmm.
Losing that game to the Jets the way they lost it, it's almost like, I'm not saying it's over. It's not over. It's definitely not over. But it kind of is, and shelling out Leonard Williams right now, getting that second-round pick, which I thought was huge. I don't know how they did that. I guess because they ate the salary, right? That was the only way they can get a second-round pick. But, they're aiming for the future. And Leonard Williams, I feel like he has been playing a lot better in the recent weeks than he had in the beginning of the season. And this defense was really taking shape the last month, and I think he was a major part of that, a major factor into that. Now, do the Giants have other guys behind him? I think they do. I think A'Shawn Robinson has been playing very well. I think Nacho's been playing very well. DJ Davidson's showing some promise. But securing a second-round draft pick for a guy like Leonard Williams, I think was huge, being a little bit older. They did have to eat half that salary, which was probably, $15 million, something like that?
10, I think. Was
$10 million.
Left,
Still a lot of money. Still a lot of money left.
Some of that gets – I was talking to somebody about some of the salary cap ramifications. The Giants were kind of getting up against it with all the signings and elevations they've had this year. That gets into your cap space. So when you do that move with Leonard, some of that money gets moved into next year's void year. So that actually freed up some money
space
this year that'll let them survive the rest of the regular
to do the rest
season.
of it. Yeah, and that's the thing. The Giants are trying to survive this year because of what they've been hit with. You have a quarterback, Daniel Jones, who got knocked out, and then you got Tyrod Taylor, who's playing. He got knocked out. We all know the offensive line woes that we've been talking about basically since week one. And then the defense, who's been playing very well, but then last week they didn't make the plays to win the game at the end. They did everything right during the game. They stopped the run. Breece Hall's a tremendous running back. They limited him. They stopped the run game from the Jets. Overall, they made them look very elementary on offense, and they made a lot of great plays. Kayvon Thibodeau played well. Dexter Lawrence was very dominant. And then at the end, a couple mistakes here and there, and that let this stagnant Jets offense come back and make the plays to win the game, which is like, where did that come from?
How do you think Leonard Williams' absence will impact the defensive front? I think you'll see him mostly in passing situations. Not that Leonard's not good against the run, he is, but they have guys behind him that are also good against the run in Nacho and A'Shawn. I wonder if on third downs you'll see maybe Jihad Ward reduce down to the three technique a little bit. How do you think they'll handle that?
Well, like I said, A'Shawn name earlier, I've been seeing him show up a lot in the run game. So as far as the run game, I think they'll be solid. And they have other bodies that they brought in, like Nacho, and even DJ. I think DJ Davis is a very solid defensive tackle. But I think you hit it. The way that both of our defensive tackles, so and I'm gonna throw Dexter and Leonard in there. The way they have been affecting quarterbacks this last month has been very uncanny. Like these guys, the sack numbers aren't there for both of those guys. More for Dexter, definitely on Kayvon, but they stopped. They created the inability for quarterbacks to step up in the pocket, and that allowed for Kayvon and whoever else is rushing on the outside the ability to stay on track, or the quarterback to get forced out to where they're rushing either from the backside or front side. And we saw a lot of Kayvon having run down blocks because quarterbacks, they cannot step up. And that's not just for Dexter Lawrence. That's because of Leonard Williams as well. So I don't think there's anybody that's going to step in and do the job Leonard Williams has been doing.
And Dexter Lawrence said just that yesterday, talking in the locker room.
It's hard. I mean, Leonard had double-digit years of experience. He's played on, two defensively minded teams, in the Jets and the Giants. And you're going to miss that presence. He was a leader in the locker room. He was a fan favorite. So the Giants are definitely going to miss him. But again, just like the injuries happen on offense, guys have to step up. I think the defense is a little bit further along this season than the offense is, so I don't think it'll be a big drop off, especially how Dexter's been playing these last few weeks. But there's definitely going to be some type of drop off because Leonard Williams is a very good player. That's why Seattle won him.
Believe it or not, him and Kayvon Thibodeau have the same number of pressures this year. I know fans probably wouldn't believe that given the sack numbers, but that's where the numbers are.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The pressures don't show up. I use ESPN. I don't go all the stats, stuff like that. That don't show up on ESPN, but I watch the game.
Yeah, you see it.
So I see the pressures, coming from Leonard, and then a couple, calls where he hit the quarterback and stuff like that. But Leonard's a really good player still. That's why Seattle went out, because Seattle's making a push to become a top contender in the NFC.
Hey, right now they're first place NFC West.
And they're putting putting players in place to make a run. That's what they're doing. And the Giants are basically restructuring for the future, but want to salvage as much as they can this year, because at the end of the day, if the Giants don't win games here on out, everybody's job is at risk. They can win games this year, which I expect them to do. And then it's like, okay, cool. Last year was a rebuilding year, just like the first year in 2022 under Dayball and Shane was a rebuilding / overachieving year. And then this year was almost like, okay, this is where the Giants are, especially when injuries happen, especially early. That's what you get. The Giants still have a ways to go to catch up to the Eagles and the Cowboys in the division.
All right, let's jump to the Raiders now. Put your player helmet back on. As a player in that Raider locker room, you leave on Tuesday. Seems like it's business as usual. You wake up Wednesday morning, you look at social media, you show up to work. Whoa. Coach gone. GM gone. Veteran quarterback not starting. Offensive coordinator gone. How does that compute for a player? What's the impact on how these Raider players are going to come out this week? Because to me, I think these guys are going to come out with their hairs on fire and just play their butts off for two reasons. One, it seemed like a lot of the players wanted this, to be quite honest with you. Antonio Pierce is a guy that I'm sure the players all love, and he's going to fire him up. Three, once they fire the guys in charge, JC, do you know who the next guy is they come for?
Who's that?
The players.
Right.
You're up next, guys.
Yep.
They already changed up top, so if things keep going bad, you know who's next? You.
Yeah.
So, to me, I think this game became a lot more dangerous with everything that happened in Las Vegas this week. Curious to see from a player perspective, how do you think that impacts guys in the locker room?
I think you hit it right on the head. Things were going really bad for the Raiders, and if you watched them on Monday night, they looked really bad.
They look like a bad football
team.
And
Jimmy Garoppolo, I think I always thought he was a pretty good player in the league. He looked really bad on Monday night. He couldn't find one of the best receivers in the league who
missed him wide open deep twice.
Ran great routes to give himself 10, 15 yards of cushion on a corner at one of these NFL cornerbacks who are very talented.
Crazy double
But
moves,
he's so good that he gets that open. Both times miss him. A little low and behind on the fourth down. And you see the frustration from Adams. You see it from him.
And we've also heard it from him over the course of the year, too.
And then also you hear it from the running back, and look, football is it's a lot of technical things that go on. It's kind of hard to understand if you don't know it, but it's really not that hard of a game. It's not that difficult of a game. And I think sometimes teams, the Giants, the Jets, the Raiders, teams that kind of are trying to figure things out, it's like, how don't you just get the ball to your best players? Just try that.
And that's what Antonio Pierce said in his presser yesterday.
That's what he said? He's a linebacker like me. He probably thinks exactly how I think.
His quote, I was a player before I was coach. This is a player's game. Veteran players need to run the locker room. The best teams I've been in that's been run by players, and it's not that complicated. Get your best players the ball.
That's it.
That's exactly what he
said. Josh Jacobs, he was probably the number one back in the league last year.
Not probably. He was. Absolutely.
Every year it kind of shifts. You got to go on numbers. You got to go on how many carries they got and impact and, situational performances as well. He was the guy last year. Contract disputes. He ended up getting something similar with Saquon. Now it's like he's not even averaging 4 yards a carry. And it's like, give him some carries. Same thing I think about Saquon. Just give him the ball.
Raiders, by the way, last in the NFL in rushing.
But keep giving him the ball. I have problems and issues with that. And I'm going to use, I know we're not going back to last week, but there was one play. I rewatched the game. I watched the linebackers for the Jets because I was so impressed by 56. Why just
Quincy Williams?
Quincy, oh my gosh. Heck of a game.
Except for that one personal foul penalty.
Heck of a linebacker, heck of a game, right? Mosley, who's a really good linebacker, the one play he messed up, you know what play that was? Saquon Barkley's 35-yard run. Everything was solid. Everything they was playing, they were front side. He backside that play, and Saquon hit it right where he was supposed to be at. They had a blitz front side, and I was looking like, okay, what gaps are? Then the corner came, the end looped in, the tackle looped around, and there was an open gap because the guard pulled. He decided to go back door instead of playing front side. That's what Saquon hit it at.
He tried to shoot the gap on the backside.
Saquon had one good run in the game. I mean, one great run. How about that?
Yes.
One great run, because he had some good runs. I can't take that from him. But that's what that's all you need as a really good player, as an extremely potent running back, receiver, whoever it is. You only need a little bit of space. And how are you going to get that space? By creating opportunities. How do you get opportunities? By the amount of reps that you get to get the ball, right? Breece Hall last week didn't have the ball in his hands a lot in the rushing game. He caught a couple passes. One pass, he made 6 defenders miss.
Yeah, it was
and
great.
Scored. He made all of the best defenders miss and scored. That's the play. You found it that quick?
Yeah.
Dang, Schmeelk, you good, boy.
Is that a trap? I think that's a trap, right? Or am I wrong about that?
It looked like it would have been a trap, but the tackle went out.
Right, but so there's nobody lined up.
So I just see the guard pull, which Mosley saw, but what did he decide to do? Decided to backdoor it.
Mosley right there,
Yep.
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what Mosley should have done here is go front side. Over Bredesen instead of going underneath him.
That's his gap coming around.
Got it.
And
Oh, he's coming in.
He's coming around
to take that gap, and he's supposed to take that one.
Yep.
I got you. Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense.
So that was
This
one
is great
bad
radio
play.
for people that can't see it.
Right. But that was one bad play I saw from the linebackers. Of course, they had other plays, but it only takes one mistake from one of your better players.
You're right, because if he takes that gap, then that other lineman's
Yeah, and it'll probably be like a 4 or 5 yard gain, but not 35.
It's just little details.
But what I'm saying is, for the Raiders, for the Giants, get the ball to your best players when you're struggling. When you're struggling, get the ball to Devontae Adams. Get the ball to Josh Jacobs. And I'm not talking about 5 targets of Adams. I'm talking about 15 targets to Adams.
Yeah, I mean, you had Adams, I think, 3 of his last 4 games. He had 6 or fewer targets in 3 of them. Which is not
Give him, at least target him at least 10 times.
And if I'm the Giants defense this week, JC, I take my Justin Jefferson scheme from the playoff game last year.
Yep.
Either guy over the top or you bracket him. Take your pick. You can do either one. You can mix it up, do whatever you want. But I want 2 guys over on that side the whole game.
And then pack the box up. I believe, because like if AP is anything like I'm thinking, which I think he is, he's linebacker, very similar to me. You know,
he is. He is.
Very similar. He's going to try to run the football, and when they pass the ball, who you think they're going to throw the ball to? Hunter Renfrow's good too. They're going to throw the ball to Devontae.
Jacoby Myers, good player, but if
they're all good.
But if Hunter Renfrow and Jacoby Myers beat you, you live with that.
I live with that. But number one, be prepared for them to run the ball at about a 50-50 clip, however many plays they have, but about 50-50 clip. I think that's going to be, as a defensive guy, knowing that your offense has been struggling, you're going to say, we're going to run the football against this team. And then we're also going to get the ball to our best receiver because they can't check him. No one can check Devontae.
How does the formula change with the rookie quarterback? Do you try to get him some easy shot plays on first or second down and play action? Do you do like the run, and then hopefully you're in a 3rd and 2 to make it easy on him? How do you approach it?
I don't be predictable.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think you have to give him some shots here on early downs.
I'm talking about, bro, go to Devontae early. And yes, I am campaigning for them to do this on offense because I've been saying the same thing about the Giants. I want the same thing from the Giants. I think that
we're
the
talking
Giants,
strategy here, not rooting. You know?
Yeah. But I'm talking about like just game planning and what should go into a game plan when you have things that are not working. Like the Giants' offense hasn't worked really this year at all, besides the second half.
And neither has the Raiders.
The Cardinals game and the first half of the Commanders game.
JC, the Raiders have not scored 20 points in a game this year.
So this is the point I'm trying to make.
50 points
if you cannot figure out what is going on, get the ball to your best players in creative ways. Don't just run Josh Jacobs up the middle. Get him outside, get him screens, get him checks down like the Jets did to Breece Hall last week. Get him bubble routes. Like, just give him the ball in different places. And then Devontae Adams, don't just look for him on 3rd down. He's going to be bracketed the whole time. Look for him throughout drives. give the running ball instead of throwing it to Devontae, give it to Josh Jacobs. Same thing with the Giants. Do not be predictable. They got in the 3rd and 20 or whatever last week, and they ran a draw play. Okay. As a linebacker, as I'm sitting back and knowing you're not going to throw the football on 3rd and long, and you decide to run a delayed run play, bro, I'm blitzing that play, bro. Like, I'm going to blitz that play. I have no fear of you passing the football. And because it's the delayed play and you decide to pull it out, I'm already 3 steps in the backfield. I'm going to have a sack. So, like, just some of the plays is just like, let's not be predictable here. Let's not run a draw on 3rd and long when you have no threat of passing the ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just certain things that the Giants got to get out their own way of. Same thing with the Raiders. But last week, and we talked about this before, the Jets were able to finish games when they were losing games late in games because of their defense. And because of their defense not making mistakes late in games. They made mistakes a lot during games. A lot of times, the Giants' offense was helped last week from the Jets' defense. But the Jets' defense played very well all night besides their penalties. But at the end, they made the plays to win the game. The Giants, they're going to be in position in this game, late in the game, to make plays to win the game. There's going to be late in the 4th quarter, maybe mid-4th quarter, but it's definitely going to be a point in this game where the defense and offense will have to make plays to win games. And you cannot rely on coaching or scheming and I'm sorry, Gano, but you can't rely on Gano no more. He showed that he might be hurt or something. I don't know what's going on with him, but he missed 2-4. The Giants have to put themselves in best positions to win games late in games, and then the players have to execute. Coaches too, and the players have to execute. That's what we haven't seen. We haven't seen 4 quarters of execution. We've seen 2 quarters of good football play. We've seen 4 quarters of good play by the defense and then some questionable decision-making at the end. Like, Giants have to put 4 quarters of football. I don't care what the playoffs, I ain't worried about none of that. Let's worry about beating the Raiders this week, a team that just fired their head coach and GM, that has a head coach, an interim head coach that was a long-time Giant, a Giants legend. So they're going to be trying to, get him a win here. So they're going to be a different Raider team than we've seen on film.
This is the final question. There's a bunch of stuff I want to get into, but I want to make sure we get to the calls. Ralph, you're up first. Don't worry. You're a defensive player. You see all these changes. New offensive coordinator, new head coach, no more Jimmy Garoppolo, Aiden O'Connell's in. You have 1 game of tape. I rewatched that game this morning, by the way. He holds the ball a little bit, and guys will get home on him. But he's a fairly accurate pocket passer. As a defensive player, how do you prepare for a game like that when maybe all the tendencies they put on tape the last few weeks really, the playbook means something, but the tendencies probably don't because you have the new guys running the show?
Yeah, I mean, you just watch, like, you watch how you normally watch film, but keeping an open mind. Like, don't get so locked in like, oh, when they get to this, they're going to run this. Just know that that's what they could do because that's what they have shown in the past. So don't get so locked in and thinking you got them there. Because like you watch film to get them. Like, you're like, oh, I got you on that play. I know when you go like this on 2nd and long, this is going to be this play. Like, that's why guys watch film. Yeah, they want to watch film to see what's going on, but they want to get one of those plays where it's like, I know exactly what they're going to do, and I'm going to time it up, and I'm going to hit a tackle for loss or interception, whatever the case is. Don't react to that. Just see their tendencies, see what they like to do, see how they like to spread the ball out, see who their players are, and then get a feel for both quarterbacks. So O'Connell, and I know Garoppolo might not play, but he might play. You know what I mean? Like, we never know. And so get a feel for that. Don't watch it as trying to pick a play apart because you might get a whole different offense this week from stuff that they've done in the past that maybe is not on the film in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They might have went back to stuff that they're doing that worked for them early in the year or even last year. So, and look, I think Wink Martindale, he's going against this young quarterback. I think he's going to heat him up. He's going to light him up. I think he's going to not sit back and play coverage. He's going to blitz him probably 80% of the time. And guys will have to get home, and on the back end, the guys will have to cover. And I've been seeing Banks. I think he has tremendous upside. I saw him go against one of the best receivers in the league last week, and didn't back down. So he did the week before. And the week before too.
Not backing down, but he has given up some plays.
Yeah, he has given up plays. Mm-hmm. But I like that. He has short-term memory. He doesn't matter if he made the play to play before or he had a pass caught on the play before. He's selling people faces. I like that.
I agree.
And I think that they can build off of that. The Giants have to continue to tackle well.
Stop grabbing down the field, Deontay.
Right,
Killing me with that, bro.
That's the rookie stuff that I was expecting from him. I was expecting stuff like that from him.
Get your head turned around and look at the ball,
That's going to take a little bit of time. But like the Giants, they have to put together 4 quarters of football.
Yep.
Like that's just what it is. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I don't like they have to put together 4 quarters of really good football and play well situationally. I feel like the first part hasn't happened where they play 4 quarters, and then also situationally, whether it's play calling, whether it's execution, or whatever the case is, they have not found ways to consistently win, and they've lost. And they lost to the Giants. They lost to the Jets because of that. Because of situational football and not playing a full game of really good football, which the defense had 59 minutes of really good football.
Yeah, 59 and a half.
Yes. Like really, really, really good football, and then a couple mistakes here and there. And as a defender, you don't look at the offense and say, what does the offense need to do better? You have to look at yourself and say, because we're clicking, we're rolling right now. If we don't make this mistake, the offsides, we don't make this PI, we will win this game, allowing 10 points. Like the Giants have to think like that, and I think their defense has been thinking like that moving forward. The Giants gave up, 13 points last week, 7 points the week before, 14 points the week before that. The Giants defensively have been rock solid and given themselves chances to win games, but they just haven't put together a 4-quarter game yet.
Join us on Sunday, November 5th at Blue Ale House in Riverdale, New Jersey to watch the Giants take on Las Vegas. Enjoy Modelo drink specials, meet a Giants legend, and enter the raffle to win game tickets and more. Visit Giants.com/Bar Network to learn more. And don't forget to go subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. A lot of great content on there. I mentioned it yesterday. Papa's Perspective, great interview with Tiki Barber about a 2005, correct? A big New Year's Eve game against the Raiders. My interview with Sean O'Hara is up there, and then Lance Meadow with former Raiders quarterback and NFL MVP Rich Gannon.
Nice.
Went up today. Former Raider. I'm sure he has a lot to say about what's going on in Las Vegas. I haven't had a chance to listen to it. I was going to do so this afternoon. So make sure you go check that out on the Giants Huddle podcast on your favorite podcast platform, giants.com/podcast, or on the Giants mobile app. All right, let's get to the phones. Ralph is in Florida. He wants to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. Ralph, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Barty, what's up, John? Listen, man, you guys just make great points, and just listening from a player's perspective, that's all us fans want to know what the players think, and thanks, Jonathan, and thanks, Howard, and all the ex-players that do it, because without you guys, we don't know what goes on in the locker room. And as far as the game, I'm excited. I'm going to the game. I'll be there, and I'm excited. I'm going to see I'm going to see Daniel Jones. God willing, I can see Andrew Thomas, and maybe the offensive line that we thought should be on the field and playing. Now with games under them, I know Andrew Thomas might be rusty, but I still feel confident in Andrew Thomas' skill, and I just feel like this could be the breakout game. Let's just go play ball. I understand your point, John, with Antonio Pierce fighting up the troops. But again, it's the same players on the field. And, I'm to be honest with you, we got to take advantage of them. And I think the offense has to start out early, take the crowd out the game. But it's probably going to be mostly Giant fans anyway. But take the crowd out the game and let the defense dominate this rookie. Wink has to attack this rookie. And, of course, like you said, John, you can't let Devontae Adams destroy this game. You can't. Anybody else, I'm cool with it. But Devontae Adams, he's upset. He got something to prove. You know what? Yeah, well, you're going to have to prove with 3 guys on you because you're not going to beat us. That's it. You're not going to beat us. We're not going to let you beat us. And I just feel like as far as Josh Jacobs, that's a Bobby Okereke game right there. You got to stop Josh Jacobs. That's your job. You got to hit the holes. Now we don't got Leo there, but Nashawn's got to step up. Nacho's got to step up. DJ Davis has got to step up. Jordan Robinson and his limited snaps got to step up. And, Leo's a great player, and it's hard to replace. There's no replacing him. But 3 to 4 guys making play by play, won't equal his production, but hopefully gets damn near close. And my last point, and I get off the air, guys, is what do you expect to see from the new offensive coordinator? He's not bringing a new playbook in. He's probably going to be doing some of the same stuff. So, again, you got to go back and watch film, like Jonathan said, from the beginning of the season because he might bring things back. But as far as that, what can he bring to change that if the Giants don't allow Devontae Adams to get the ball, that he could capitalize on the defense and try to win this game. And I'll take my answers off today, guys.
Thank you, Ralph. And JC, you could speak to this as a defensive player better than me, but to me, it's when you call plays, the plays are going to stay the same, right?
Yeah.
No matter when you call the plays, your tendencies, and who you're trying to focus on in terms of getting the ball to. Those are the things that can change with the coordinator, not the structure of an offense.
Yep. And we got to see what the identity is of, this new OC, that took over.
Play action frequency, how often you run on first down versus pass. Those types of things are the things that can change with a new coordinator.
But there's always, if they trust this quarterback, unlike what the Giants did last week when Tommy DeVito came in, and they allow him to throw the football, on not just third down when they need to throw it. You'll see, I think, a team that's revitalized because they were feeling down in the dumps, bro. You could watch it from their body language. I'm talking about the Raiders. They didn't look like a good football team.
They
looked defeated as they were getting beat, not the end.
And even after Marcus Peters is getting pick sixes and stuff like that, they just look like a zombie football team.
They
just
no
wasn't
energy
there. No, I'm with you.
That's not what I saw from the Giants. The Giants were in the game last week. They were, you saw the energy. They were enthusiastic. They were playing hard, playing well. They were cheering, joking. That's a game. That looks like they were in the game. The Raiders last week against Detroit, before it even got crazy, they didn't look like they belonged on the field with them. And I don't think that's because of the talent. Every team is talented. I just think morale was down and bad. Your best players are complaining, and it was just not good. I think they have a revitalization happening right now, and with 3 wins, they're still in it. I know their division is rough, but they're still in it. And the Giants are going to see a different Raider team that they have in weeks past. Whatever we saw Monday night is not going to be the team that the Giants will play against on Sunday. This is going to be, a 4-quarter game, and which one of these teams are ready to step up and actually play 4 quarters worth of good football, not just good football, good situational football, good tackling, good execution of offenses, and good special teams play.
Let's go to Jerome in Charlotte. He's up next. Jerome, what's happening?
Hi, guys. Love the show. I've been wanting to call since the season started. I got a couple quick points.
Sure.
I want to make. I believe the Giants start off with a slow start because the known starters, didn't get a chance to hit nobody. The ones they knew was a 70, 80% or better going to start, they didn't. They rested.
Now, see, Jerome, here's the thing. I'm sorry for interrupting, and you can certainly finish your point. We got calls about this earlier in the year. The team that everyone talks about that had the most physical training camp and hit the most and played the most in the preseason were the Pittsburgh Steelers. They came out the first 2 games and looked like absolute trash. So I honestly get where you're coming from with that. I just don't think there's and another team that's very physical in the preseason and played their guys were the Chiefs. And they came out and lost week 1 to the Lions. So yeah. I think it had more to do with injuries and the opponent you're facing than it did who played in the preseason. I don't think playing an extra series in the preseason is going to make much of a difference the first couple of weeks. In my opinion, maybe JC disagrees with me, that's fine. But I don't put those 2 and 2 together, to be honest with you.
Well, I believe the offense should have at least, I think it was Paul that said, should at least play a quarter each preseason to get in shape, get set, used to the setups and everything, because they're gonna play the most. But also, I think it's time. Not saying Jones is answer or not. But I think it's time for a legit backup to draft a winning quarterback that's can sit under Jones for the rest of his contract and at least start to be a legitimate backup. So
what's wrong with Tyrod Taylor, Jerome?
He's injury prone. He's good. I root for. I've been rooting for the team for almost 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is it's time for a legitimate backup quarterback. They've been dancing around it for years, just like with the offensive line. They've been dancing around the offensive line, patching pieces and stuff. It's time for a legitimate backup, somebody that can sit.
Jerome, how high of a draft pick are we talking here?
Well, we just gained the second round.
You want to use a second-round pick on a backup quarterback, dude?
No, I'm saying somebody that could potentially be Jones' replacement.
Oh, so you're not worried about drafting a backup. You want to draft a replacement. Those are two different conversations.
Yeah, both. You know,
Jerome, let me speak to your first point earlier, and I'm not disagreeing with Schmeelk, but I am throwing.
That's fine.
But no, because it's not for me in training camp. It's not about the games. You definitely have to get a little bit of reps, though. You know, just to kind of get how the game flows, how your adrenaline flows, especially early.
And the Giants did do that in one of their
games, which is fine. I think one is okay. But what I would like to see, which I don't know, you've been at practice a lot more than I have, especially in training camp.
Yeah.
How much are they going good on good, one versus ones?
In training camp practices, a lot.
Like they should be doing that almost all the time.
Yeah, they do. Every practice they go good on good.
See, now that when you go up to Detroit and practice against Detroit, that's what you're basically getting. When you go to Detroit, you're getting ones on ones, you're getting twos on twos. So you're getting good on good. That's what we call good on good. Now, that's where I feel like when I was with New Orleans, and I was there 4 years, so that was like the most training camps and OTAs and all of that stuff. The amount of good on good that the Saints did, I think, was far and beyond anywhere else I've ever been.
Even when you got here, when Coughlin was here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the way Drew Brees processed information, there's no scout team quarterback that can show us that. There is no scout team quarterback, and Drew Brees used to pick on me because I was young, and he knew that he can do things that probably wouldn't work against a Vilma or a Scott Vegeta or a Scott
who is
Shanley.
better of manipulating linebackers in the middle of the field than Drew Brees?
So Greg Williams say you're such a dummy. He said you're so dumb. Drew Brees, when he go out there, he looks right at you. He said he stares right at you, and he's throwing a seam ball right behind you, and all he's going to go is go like this. That's all he need to do, because you don't get it, JC. You just don't understand. And I didn't. I didn't get it. Like, I didn't understand how you match up against routes and stuff like that. But you know who taught me? Drew Brees did. That's who taught me how to match up against routes.
That's
Drew Brees. Not a linebacker, not a coach. Drew Brees taught me how to do that, because he got me on it so many times. But it's better getting got at practice from a guy that's elite than getting got with somebody that's not elite in the game. You know, that's just my experience. You know,
no,
so
I think that's fair. I agree with everything you're saying.
And you know, that physicality part, yeah, but you're still hitting scouts, guys. You're still hitting, you know, the twos. You know, but that mental part of it, where you have somebody who's elite that you're going against, that has to make you better. You know, Andrew Thomas going against Kayvon Thibodeau on a consistent basis will make both of those guys better. You know, John Michael Smith going against Dexter Lawrence on a consistent basis will make those guys better. And I'm talking about during the year, too. Every now and again, we always matched up against Drew Brees during the season. Fridays, we used to do red zone against each other. It was a competition. And that's what I felt like kept us sharp. Every year with the Saints, we were good. Every year. Yes, we had talent and all that. But I think because the practice habits were just a little bit different. You know, the ones-on-ones, the good-on-good, I saw that more there than I did anywhere else. And I feel like that was partially the reason why me personally, I improved as a player. I was going against Darren Sproles at practice, one-on-ones. You know, I was going against Jimmy Graham, one-on-one. And I was going against Drew Brees playing zone coverage. That is very difficult task to do, and I was doing that on a consistent basis. So I got better because of those guys. Not because of my linebacker coach, not because of my defensive coordinator, because of the talent that I was going against on a consistent basis, right? Mm-hmm. And then his other point was about...
Talking about the quarterback. And thank you for the call, Ralph.
Oh, yeah, he talking about drafting. First of all, the Giants will not draft a quarterback this draft. That would be a very bad decision for them to do when they just paid Daniel Jones and you draft a quarterback the next year. Like, that's like, okay, we made a mistake. That's what that means to me if they do that.
I mean, if you're drafting one of the first 2 rounds.
Definitely in the first 2 rounds. Yeah, later on, that third, fourth, fifth, whatever. Later, that's fine, because an extra quarterback on this team is good. Extra quarterback on this team is pretty good right now, especially right now where we're sitting at. When first string and second string just got hurt, right? So I don't mind that. But as far as a backup, you don't have to look no farther than Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, Tyrod has injury history, but you don't have a backup quarterback because he's not injury prone. Like, you have him there for what he can help your first string quarterback do, and then also what he's capable of doing when he get in the game. Tyrod Taylor checks that box 100 times out of 100. Tyrod Taylor is a solid quarterback, as you can see from the games that he's played. As far as Daniel Jones must play better for the Giants to have success. That's a fact. There's things that we talk about and we hope for things to happen. The Giants must play better. Daniel Jones must play better for the Giants to have success. That's just what it is. The way he's carrying the team, the way he's throwing the football, he has to play better. And I think he will play better. I think Tyrod stepped in and kind of showed him almost like a courageous, inspiring type of football that he played, making good decisions, still not scoring a lot of points. But I think he showed Daniel Jones that you need to throw that deep ball, bro. You need to throw that deep ball. You need to throw it because the offense will open up. It will give space for players like Wandale, guys like Saquon on the check down, guys like Saquon in the run game, and it literally opens up the offense. Giants are not drafting a quarterback for a backup or to replace Daniel Jones. Definitely not this year. Now, if this year plays out, Daniel Jones don't play well, next year do the same type of thing, then we could possibly talk about something. But the Giants are invested in Daniel Jones as a starter, locked in for at least 2 more years. At least 2 more years. And I'm talking about if he's playing very poorly, they're locked in. They have to be.
Yeah, I mean, the way the contract's structured, you theoretically could get out after next year, but you're looking at a lot of dead money. So
right. And that's worst case scenario, he's playing horrible, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Daniel Jones will play better. I think he'll start this week if he plays. I think he saw some life from Tyrod and what the offense could possibly do because they still ain't scoring a lot of points, Schmeelk. No matter who's playing quarterback.
No, that has not changed.
They still haven't scored points. They still haven't won games. They won 1 game with Daniel, 1 game with Tyrod. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, you got it. And their points per game is basically identical.
The same, So the Giants have to function better, especially offensively. They have to execute better. Receivers have to catch the ball. Tight ends, linemen have to block. Receivers have to block. They just have to do the fundamentals better. They have to tackle better. They have to catch better. They have to block better. Like, Giants have to improve. They have to, or it's going to be like it's not going to be too many wins this season. I'm not thinking about the playoffs. I'm thinking about they only got 2 wins. If they don't improve, they will only have maybe 3 or 4 wins. If they don't improve, they cannot continue to play this style of football, this brand, this lose the game at the end, offense struggling the whole entire game. They cannot play that brand of football and think they're going to win any game.
I agree.
Any game. They have to play better, especially offensively, because their defense has been showing up. Their primetime players have been, I think, playing very well. Bobby Okereke has been a great addition. He's been showing that week in and week out.
You know he's tied for the NFL league in stops this year, according to PFF.
Okereke is?
Really good.
Yeah. I mean, that's solid, And then Dexter Lawrence, 15 pressures last week?
Dude, he is right now only behind.
Bro.
I forget who are the 2 guys ahead of him. But he is in 3rd right now in the NFL in terms of total pressures.
And
to get that
all
from
pass rushers.
From all pass rushers, to get that from a nose tackle is ridiculous.
It's insane.
Ridiculous.
It's insane. And I was, you know why? I don't know if you remember, I kept on saying we're waiting for a game for Dexter Lawrence. We're waiting for a game for Dexter Lawrence.
And you've got about 3 of them now.
Because he's that good. Right. I watched him last year. He's that good. That's the level I expect from him. He has to play at that level for this team to have success. And he has been. And the defense has been successful. Yeah. And I'm not going to put it all on him, but he is the guy. He's the Achilles of the whole, front. He's the guy that does it. He's the one that's running the battle first. He's the one that's touching that center first. Like, he's the guy that's going to wreck games, and he's been showing that for the last 3 weeks. how good he really is. I saw it last year. It's starting to show up now, and if he can continue to play that way, this defense will be successful the rest of the year.
Let's go to Len in Columbia, Maryland. He's up next. Hey, Len.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
You promised you would call JC today, and here you go.
What's up, Len? Good to see you.
Yeah. Jonathan, John Schmeelk is the man, but you're really pretty good at this.
Yes, he is.
I just love the emotion. I can hear it. When you went through that 30 seconds on Daniel, I heard it.
Thank you, Len. I appreciate that.
I get that. I like that too, John. All right. Look, I'm not as enamored with the trade as most people are. I mean, I'm not going to kill it. I'm just not quite as enamored. The last comments you had, Jonathan, about unless we play better, we're not going to win but 2 more games. Keep in mind, we're not going to send out on the field on Sunday in Las Vegas as good a defensive team as we set out on the field against the Jets. It's 1 player short. Leonard's replacement, Big Leonard's replacement, is not on this roster. We all know that. It's not on this roster.
Well, I think, Len, to the point, you aren't trying to replace Leonard. You're going to piece it together here depending on the down-in situation.
But when are you going to try to replace Leonard?
In the offseason.
Yeah, that doesn't happen during the season.
Yeah, there you go.
I got you, Len.
The team is not as good. All right?
Of course.
We got 9 games left. 9 games left. With a terrific, going back to your point earlier in the show, guys, win in the fourth quarter. That was Leonard Williams. I want him in my foxhole in the fourth quarter. That's how you build up wins with guys like that. I want him in the last 2 minutes. I'm going to cut down on the fourth quarter. I want to win the last 2 minutes. I wanted to win the last 2 minutes on Sunday, but I want to win every Sunday. I want to win the last 2 minutes. Leonard helped me get there. 9 games left, 4 in the division. We got to win some games, guys. Paulie talked to it yesterday about having to win. You got to get players out on that field that can win, and Leonard was that guy. Bottom line, you can spin it any way you want. The Giants wanted to trade Leonard Williams. That's the bottom line.
No, Len, I don't think they wanted to trade Leonard Williams. I think they came to the point here where they understood, given that you're sitting at 2-6, if you can help yourself in the future, even if it hurts yourself in the present, whether that's Leonard Williams or a different player on the roster, that's what they were willing to do just because of the way the season has gone.
Okay, John, let me respond to that, and then I'll move on.
Sure.
I am really looking forward to the 155th pick in the 2025 draft.
How about
who will that guy?
No.
Look,
Len, that's the 5th round pick. How about the 50th pick in the 2024 NFL draft?
Who is it, John? Who is it?
I don't know who it's going to be, but
of course we don't.
Well, Len, let me ask you something.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Weren't you excited to draft John Michael Schmitz this year?
Oh, well, you know how much I was looking for a center for the last.
Well, that's what you got with your 2nd round pick, which is basically going to be exactly where you're going to be picking with Seattle's pick this year. So get excited about that, Len. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Wait a minute. So we created a hole. That we're now going to fill with an unknown player with the 50th pick.
Yeah, but Leonard Williams was probably not going to be on the roster next year anyway.
And Len, first off, the Giants did this move because they're like, first of all, he was a 31 this year on the cap. 31? No, not age.
Yeah.
Come on, the number.
Right, about 30.
It's like $30 million. I thought they were going to do something with that contract way before. But you got to think, hold on, Len, you got to think, as the season was going on, he was always a piece that they said we got to figure out something to do with him. Whether it was beginning of the season and as the season started going along, I'm sure the Giants had callers saying, hey, we're interested in him. We'll give you a second-round pick. Second-round pick? Okay. That's a great addition, especially from what the Giants have been doing in the draft recently.
Okay. All right. Let me summarize real quick.
Yes, sir.
Personally, and I think John Schmeelk knows this because we've been talking for over the years. I'm not a big fan of trading players for picks because I don't know who I'm getting. I'm okay with trading picks for players because I know what I'm getting. All right. So, can I say something about Sunday's game?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah. Sunday's game. -9 passing yards.
Yeah, it's not great.
A franchise record, worse than 50 years in the NFL. No excuses, Coach. I don't want to hear all the reasons. I don't want to even hear people alluding to the reasons. That game on Sunday follows that offensive coaching staff for the rest of their careers.
Yet they are a 35-year field.
Rest of their career.
Yet, Len, they are a 35-yard field goal or a 4th-and-1 conversion away from beating the Jets.
Yeah, that's right. Just execute, as Jonathan talked about before. You got to whatever play you call, flip a coin on that play, John.
Yeah, you're 100%.
Whatever
I agree.
play you call, just freaking execute, will you please?
I'm with you.
Safeties in this league get second contracts when they make plays in the last 2 minutes of a game. They don't get second contracts when they knock a ball away in the second period. You got 7 men. Oh, God. Jonathan, John Schmeelk, 2 29-yard passes in a row with the 3 safeties on the field. Come on, Xavier. You want a second contract with this team. You got to make a play in that situation. You got to make a play there. Geez, driving me nuts. All right, here's a shining light for me.
That's emotion from you, Len. I like that emotion out of you, Len. I like that emotion out of you.
Hey, listen, John Schmeelk knows this. I've been doing this 60 years, Jonathan. My family is 60 years in. 60 years in. 5 stadiums, 3 states. That's consecutive years. I didn't back out. Dad didn't back out when we went to the EL Bowl. I'm 60 years in, John. A shining light. I got a couple of things, and John Schmeelk can help me with this because he knows the numbers. You know, you go to that last play when we had the Gano field goal attempt. We were second and 3, and I felt like, and this might be maybe I'm wrong on this. I felt like our first down plays, we were doing pretty good. We were in a lot of second and short.
Yeah, I don't know what the number is. I can tell you this, Len. I thought Saquon could have ran for a first down on the 1st and 10 running play, and he kind of fell down. And Dable said he slipped on Monday's presser.
Yeah.
I think they should have gone a first down on that first run, and they should have been kneeling the game out. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah. There you go. I thought their first down production.
I'll take that size and agreement.
I'd love to know.
It's hard, bro. At the end.
I would love to know. I would love to know what the yardage was on first down, and what the second down must have been horrendous. Second down production must have been horrendous because the first down production was really pretty good. You know, here's one more shining light for me, and I'm looking forward to Sunday. By the way, I'm going to get to see Leonard at 1 o'clock. They play the Ravens early on Sunday, so I'm going to tune in on that game and.
Good game, too. Seahawks, Ravens. It's actually, if you want to sit down and watch some NFL football this Sunday, dude, you get 9:30 in London, which will be 6:30 for me in Vegas. Good luck for that. You get Chiefs, Dolphins. You get Ravens, Seahawks. Then you get Giants, Raiders, and Cowboys, Eagles. And then you get Bengals, Bills on Sunday Night Football. I mean, that is as good as a 4 consecutive time frames of NFL football as you can have. That is wonderful.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Hey, one last point. I honestly believe we have been the better team between the lines the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
And I think we're the better team, even without Big Leonard. I think we're the better team on Sunday. Let's go win this game. Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks, you, Len. So is that everything you wanted and more?
Yeah.
I like that he kept calling you John Schmeelk.
Yeah, he said his whole name.
Well, we have
but I
two
told
Johns
him
here.
to call because he said he wanted to talk. I said, well, call on Thursday. So, we listen. I always speak about this because I appreciate all the fans, man, and I respect the guy that's been, an avid fan for 60 years, which is insane to say out loud. Schmeelk, 60 years?
It's crazy.
That's rough. Hey, guys, I've only been a Giants fan for like 10 years, believe it or not. Just saying. I played for other teams.
Growing up, you were in Jersey, though.
I wasn't a fan.
I'm not going to repeat that to your benefit.
I wasn't a fan, but when I was growing up, I actually liked the Eagles. I know it sucks, but I loved Brian Dawkins. I wanted to be everything like
Your
him.
safety, huh?
I linebacker, but the way he played, and Ray Lewis too. Those are the two guys. And when you're young, I didn't really like the teams. I more like the players. And I watch the Giants all the time, but I love Brian Dawkins. I'm not going to say I love the Eagles no more. I'm not going to say that.
No, don't say
I'm
that.
not going to say that.
So the Giants, I've looked it up. The Giants on first downs against the Jets, they average 3.4 yards per play. So that's not very good. 94 rushing yards, 4.3 yards per rush, but I believe Saquon's 35-yarder came on first down, so that I think kind of shifts those
Boosted
numbers
it up
a
little
lot.
bit. Yeah.
They had 2 10-plus yard runs, including the one that he had for 30. And I don't see – actually, maybe that wasn't a first down. I'll have to check that. But no, I mean, just looking real quickly at the numbers, doesn't look like on first down the Giants had a huge particular amount of success.
And to Len's, I think, point that he was trying to make, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
The Giants aren't healthy enough and aren't good enough offensively to be predictable. They're not. They're not going to – they can't line up.
They just line you up, know what you're doing, I'm going to beat you anyway.
They're not. They can't do that.
I agree with you.
They can't line up and say, I know you guys know what we're going to do, and we're going to do it because we're better than you. The Giants are not there. They're not. So what the Giants have to do is be very clever in play calling and mix the bag up, and I always think about stealing a possession. And defensively, when you get an interception, that's basically stealing a possession because you get a ball right back to your offense. But I'm talking about a fake field goal, fake punt, something like that to steal a possession away. And I always say to do that against a really good quarterback like the Buffalo Bills, one of those guys. But not even steal a possession, just do things that you wouldn't normally do to catch the other team off guard, because that gives you a little bit of momentum. And then you can say, now we're going to run the ball because we're not tired and you're tired. And then you could be a little bit more predictable. But, you cannot be predictable for 4 quarters of football. And I feel like that's where the Giants fell into last week.
Here, and actually, this actually goes to a question here. This from Mike Resch, bigbluekickoff@gmail.com is the email, bigbluekickoff@gmail.com. Send in your emails. I'm only going to get time for a couple here. I'll do my best. It's very long. It's a 4-point email. So we're going to try to get this a little bit condensed here. So I'll put his first 2 points into one. Where's the coach who went for 2 against Tennessee at the start of last year? I feel like he's lost trust and confidence in the team. It's creating an identity crisis where the team is not smart or dependable at times this year. Just put the ball in the hands of your best player against Buffalo and the Jets. Take our chances. Mike, I think what you're seeing here is last year he had this offense intact, right? You would Daniel healthy for every game. You would Andrew Thomas healthy for every game. You would Saquon healthy for every game. And I think the lack of success early in the year, in part because of all the issues that they've had with injuries, in part because of the really strong opponents they faced. Yeah, do I think right now Brian Daboll has as much confidence in his team converting a 3rd and 1 as he did at this time last year? No, I don't think he does. And frankly, I don't blame him. I don't, based on what the results are that we've seen. So I think the change in approach has a lot more to do with circumstance than it does the change in approach by the head coach.
Yeah, I kind of spoke about this after the game on the radio with you and Bob, and that was one of the things I was concerned about. It's what's this year's identity? I think last year we understood the team and what the identity was.
Well, I don't think they've established an identity this year.
They haven't, and that has a lot to do with the play calling, the head coach's decision making, and then also the execution from the players on the field. It goes hand in hand.
And the players that are on the field, that's something to do with that, obviously.
When it's not really meshing, it's hard to say, here, this is what we are. Because it's like, this is missing. These players haven't been around for weeks because they're hurt. And then they just can't come together. You can't come together and say, here, this is what we are. It's this, and there's nothing coming together. So the Giants really do not have an identity. I think defensively, they figured that out and what they can do, but because of their inefficiencies on offense, you can't say, what are the New York Giants? You can't say that yet. And that is a problem when you're going into what week we in now, Schmeelk? 9? 10?
9, believe it or not.
So when you're in week 9 and you don't know what your identity is, that's why you only have 2 wins. The Giants have no identity. And yes, defensively, they're playing a lot better than offensively, but every single team has injuries. Every single team has a star player that's out for the season. Some guys, Kirk Cousins is out. The guy from Cleveland, he got hurt early, hurt his knee, the running back. Like, some teams lost their best players, and they're still trying to survive because they already have an identity. They already know what type of team they are. And they stick to that identity without that player being there.
Right.
Because that's who they are.
And the Giants never had the opportunity to establish that.
That's it. So that's what you're seeing now. And somebody has to say, this is what we're going to do. And it may not look good for the first week, but don't change it. Believe in what you're doing and do it again, and then do it better.
Fair
but
enough.
if you keep shifting because of, like you said, circumstance, which is understandable. It's very understandable. But at one point, when is circumstance not going to be the reason why the Giants aren't good? Like, that has to be.
That's true.
So,
That's
okay,
fair, too.
circumstance. Yes. Okay, we got it. Injuries. Okay.
No, look, time's now.
What do
right?
we do? Right. What do we do? Let's go.
The time's now. The time
Exactly.
is now. Absolutely. Another quick question. This one from Darren out there in jolly old England. Big Giant fan. He lives near Manchester. He watched every game since visiting MetLife with his family in December 2019.
Nice.
That's awesome. Here's a question. So talking about that 4th-and-1 decision at the end of the game against the Jets, what role do you think, because Brian Dable did bring it up a couple times, weather do you think plays in that? Does the rain make it more difficult for the field goal, or does it play an impact on a 4th-and-1 run attempt too with the footing?
I think it has more impact to do with the field goal than the actual run play.
I would tend to agree with that too.
And the wind at MetLife can be very different than the wind just right outside the stadium sometimes. But I mean, I thought they should go for it. In Schmeelk, I want to let everybody know, I play defense. I have a defensive mind. I don't think like a guy that wants to see a lot of points and score. I don't care. I want to see good defense being played. That's what I want. And when your defense is playing well, I expect you to trust them because I'm a defensive guy. So my opinion is different than his. It's different than other guys that see it from a more, I guess, even-keeled look. I see things as defense all the time.
Right.
All the time. That's just how I am. I played linebacker all my life. So when I look at things probably from a defensive coordinator's mindset and a defensive mindset, not an overall grand scheme of things. I'm like, hey, our defense playing well. Let them play well. Go for the 4th down. If they don't get it, the defense will hold up.
Chris Tasky says, and we talked about this earlier really quick, I just want to make sure I acknowledge his question. I only watched it once, but it looked like Barkley slid instead of running for the first down on that final Giants possession of regulation because he must have thought they had won the game essentially. If he kept going, they would have won the game. Is that what you guys saw? Brian Dable said he slipped. He was trying to protect the ball, and he slipped. But if you look at the all-22, there was room there if he managed to stay up on his feet to go get that first down. Unfortunately, he didn't keep his footing.
And see, this is where the Giants, the identity of who are they hasn't been answered yet because you have people like Saquon, Kayvon, who you rely on them during the game. Kayvon had a great game. All the naysayers and people that have been talking crap about Kayvon and all that, he showed them what type of player he is. I think Saquon's been doing that his whole career. But what the Giants need to really, I think, take the next step in figuring out what their identity is that your primetime players can't make mistakes or not be situationally aware at crucial times. Like, you can't, not this late in the season, it's midseason. Your primetime players need to be making plays at the end of the game to win you games.
And that's what they did last year, by the way.
Right. So you're seeing Kayvon have a good game and then make a mistake late.
Though he did have a sack, could play before.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
damn thing.
It's and that's where the Giants are at. It's like your best players are your best players, but they're not making all the plays in the crucial times.
Yep.
And it's hard because, like, you can't blame Saquon. Like, he, ran the ball 36 times. Like, but, like, bro, like, you have to be
3 sacks, right?
4 quarters of focus, bro. Like, you know why? Because you're good enough to.
Yeah. No, then so is Kayvon.
And I would never put it on somebody I didn't think was good enough. I'm mentioning guys that I know are capable enough. Just got to be a little bit more tuned in, a little bit more focused on that situational football. And that's where the Giants right now, to form their identity and what they want to be and get a win against a very winnable game against the Vegas Raiders, you have to play really good football for 4 quarters. And situationally, you have to win those situations. You can't lose them.
JC, time to go record the hangout, brother.
All right, man.
Jonathan Casillas, I'm John Schmeelk. Big Blue Kickoff Live is back tomorrow at 12:30 with Paul and Lance. JC and I will be with you on the pregame show, which will be at 2:25 Eastern Time. I'll be out there in Vegas, my last trip of the year. JC will be holding down the fort here in New York.
Yes, sir.
That means I'll be on a red eye and very grumpy on Monday morning. Thanks for being with us on Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac. Hopefully the Giants will give me a reason not to be grumpy. Brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next time.